It turns out we've barely touched the surface of Cyberpunk 2077's secrets and pop culture references. There's some really hidden details in this game, and it turns out my first video wasn't enough to cover them all. So here are another 10 details you may have missed in Cyberpunk 2077. Just take Drake's song Hotline Bling, which has turned into the Drake posting meme. Where if you actually check out the photo mode in Cyberpunk, you'll find a very familiar pose. Firstly, we have the hard pass pose, and then we have the now you're talking pose. And to be honest, I feel like as time goes on, the more people think about this meme in relation to Cyberpunk when it first came out, and then after all the updates that CDPR has been pushing for the game. One thing is very clear though, so much passion and detail has gone into this game, which is evident when you take a look at Judy's tattoos. One of the most obscure references is Judy's tattoo of a ghost in a shell, which is a literal translation to Ghost in the Shell, which is the name of an anime which Cyberpunk 2077 takes a lot of inspiration from. You see, Judy and Motoko, the main protagonist in Ghost in the Shell, share a lot of similarities, like their love for scuba diving in their spare time. Judy even has a tattoo from the Red Hot Chili Peppers song on her right forearm, which says "Underwater where thoughts can breathe easily," which is actually a line from the song Parallel Universe. The deeper meaning behind this tattoo really plays out when she takes you scuba diving as well. At this point you're probably thinking, well, maybe I've missed a few Cyberpunk details and hidden Easter eggs that I didn't know of before. Well, it turns out I only found this one a year later when I booted up the game for the first time in months. You see, if you go to the character creation menu and then you check out your intelligence attributes, go to the quick hack perk tree, and you'll discover that the peak intelligence perk called Master Ram Liberator, rather funnily, is actually the exact same as the Galaxy Brain meme, just in the Cyberpunk art style. I had hundreds of hours on this game and for some reason only recently noticed that. Next we have a GTA San Andreas Easter egg, which brings back memories I thought I'd buried a long time ago. Located right here in the southeast Badlands, just as you leave the city over here, you'll find a clothing shop right next to the fast travel point for the trailer park. And as you can see, there's a train line that runs into a tunnel just here. This is the trailer park, here's the fast travel point, and this is Night City. If we turn around and follow the train track over here, we will come across a couple of bodies and a crashed motorcycle. On his body you can find a transcribed conversation between JC, which is obviously CJ backwards, and Little Smoke, which is obviously referencing Big Smoke in San Andreas. Big Smoke is telling CJ to just follow the train, and just before the conversation cuts out, he's trying to warn CJ about the train coming the other way, which clearly hit them, resulting in the famous line,
"All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ,"
for when you failed this mission. Now if you played GTA San Andreas, you'll know this is referencing the mission where you had to chase the train. But every time you failed, Big Smoke would say this,
"All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ."
every single time.
"All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ."
And of course, here on the tracks you can find Big Smoke with his burger, the half-eaten burger clearly referencing Big Smoke's absolute love for food, and that scene where he places an absolutely ridiculous order.
"I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda."
And CJ is just a little bit further away from him. Even the bike has some yellow details on it, just like the one you rode in San Andreas. But do you guys recognize this location right here? That's right, this is actually Grove Street from San Andreas, where the main protagonist CJ lives. Located southwest of the motorway, right here in Santo Domenico, almost like San Andreas really. If we go ahead and zoom in, you'll see this formation of houses that's kind of in like a half semicircle. In fact, this location is even run by the 6th Street gang in Cyberpunk 2077, which is another reference to the street in San Andreas called 6th Street.
Not again. Gotta be 6th Street turf.
You'll also find similar cars parked outside, like the futuristic version of the rusty red coloured Greenwood, and the Picador pickup truck right here outside this house. If the similarities were not proof enough for you, there's actually a conversation going on between two NPCs across the road that you can listen in on, where one of them actually says that the corpo paying him has a connection to Grove Street.
Just that corpo rat that ran over my daughter. Saw it with my own eyes. But he pays every month. Pays a lot.
He'll pay when you redecorate the highway with his brains. You mean 6th Street? See, you're getting everything mixed up now.
Or sell him out.
Don't
to the
overthink
badges.
this.
I won't make
No
the
más
rent.
hazlo.
Besides, the pinche cabrón has connections to Grove Street. You think that's what Lisa would have wanted? Revenge.
And the next Easter egg is located just down the street from here. Did you know you can actually find the iconic Dodge Charger, nicknamed General Lee, from the Dukes of Hazzard TV series? Come on, they had 147 episodes. Haven't you ever heard of it? Well, neither had I, but the muscle car is incredibly cool. The car is a Type 66 Quadra with a Gen Rowley paint scheme. Now the name Gen Rowley sounds like General Lee, but with a heavy accent. It's a pretty clever pun, actually. Also, the sale text you get explains that he ended up crashing it into a corpo while street racing. He's also from SoCal, which is short for South California, where the Dukes of Hazzard show was based. The number plate further proves this as well. Now, instead of the show's Confederate flag on the roof, the Cyberpunk 2077 version has the NUSA flag on it instead. It also bears the same color and the 01 detailing, just like in the show. You can unlock this ride for yourself by going here on the map to the region of Santo Dominico. If you go ahead and zoom in, you'll see the main motorway just over here. If you follow the bridge going over the motorway and then you go north, right over here there's a car park, and that's where you're going to be able to buy this unique car. That's the bridge over there in the distance. Also look out for this giant billboard, and then just over here behind the shop you'll find the car for sale. Once you arrive, you can buy the car for 52,000 eddies, and who doesn't want a 1969 Dodge Charger in their collection? The next Easter egg on our list is located in Haywood, on the east side of Haywood, just over here on the map. If I go ahead and zoom in, you'll see there's a giant skyscraper here, kind of like an overpass just here. But the actual location we need to go to is underneath these buildings, so it's kind of hard to see. But I recommend pinning a location just where you can see this bit of road under all these buildings, and then head over to this corner. You can see we're currently underneath a massive skyscraper, but if we head to where the sunlight is, just at the corner I showed you on the map, and stop here, we will see a shop called Bucker's Slice. Hidden in the alleyway behind the diner here, you'll find the next two Easter eggs behind the fence, but you actually can't access this secret area unless you use parkour. So head back around the front and you'll see some bin bags at the end here that are piled up just high enough to grab the ledge above. Once you're on top, you can then run along the roof of the diner and drop down into the otherwise inaccessible alleyway below. For our first minor Easter egg, you'll find a blue signpost that says Undercover Ink, which looks very similar to the incognito browser symbol that Chrome uses to show you're browsing the internet privately. Some of you may not even see the reference because this is the 2008 to 2013 version that we see here. And secondly, for our next Easter egg, you'll find two bodies. One of them actually has a conversation transcript on them. This is actually a reference to Sherlock Holmes. On the body you'll find Sherlock's coat, which we'll talk about later, and also some ram jolt, which is kind of like a pot of pills. And if you've seen the TV series, you'll know that Sherlock does enjoy his stimulants. But then if we go ahead and read the archive conversation, we can pick out a few more references. Firstly, John Doyle is referencing John Watson, who is of course Sherlock's assistant. Secondly, Arthur Baker's surname is referencing London's Baker Street, which is where Sherlock Holmes' detective agency is located. Then finally, if you put both Arthur Baker's first name and John Doyle's second name together, chronologically, you'll get a reference to Sir Arthur Doyle, who actually wrote the Sherlock Holmes novels. And then of course, if we actually read the transcript itself, and especially if you're a fan of the show, you'll definitely see that this is typical of the standard Sherlock Holmes scene. Case closed. The girl from 6th Street was working with the Valentino. Give me a break. We watched them for less than a minute. There's no way you can get more than that than me. You see Arthur, but you do not observe. Big difference. Is that so? Then please do enlighten me. How do you know they flatlined our client's sister? The Valentino's shirt was dark with sweat, indicating she was in a hurry. The slight scrape on her neck meant she had recently jacked into the net with shaky hands. You got all that from one quick scan? No, Arthur. I brought the Sixer girl a drink and I slipped in a pill. She sang like a bird after that. All the little details. Is it such a crime to want to wow you with my powers of deduction for a moment? Wait, are you serious? Now she knows you. She'll have more sixes on our tail in no time. No need to panic, dear Arthur. I've done this dozens of times. She won't remember a thing, I guarantee it. I sincerely hope you're not wrong. Relax. I'm never wrong. And the cut of the trench coat that you looted from the body is also very similar to Sherlock's trench coat, so it makes sense that we find him and Arthur dead in the alleyway, in the Valentino's turf. But our mystery solving doesn't have to end here. You can find Vault 101 from Fallout 3 in this other video I made about Cyberpunk 2077, and many more hidden details and Easter eggs that you may have missed. I'll link it down below in the description.